We have a bunch of Nintendo Switch 2 news to talk about, including the brand new trailer for Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition and the Talking Flower. Also, we have to talk about the Mario Kart World, and every other Nintendo Switch 2 has been getting recent updates for some reason. And the potential end for a very beloved Nintendo franchise. Anyways, let's get straight into it. Okay, so starting everything off, we got Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and now we recently just got a brand new trailer for this, and honestly, it's looking pretty good. The most notable update is being able to play as Rosalina. So if you're a big fan of Rosalina, well, good things are here. You're able to play as Rosalina in this new update. This update, or this Switch 2 edition, also adds a number of different things. One being assist mode, so kind of like in Super Mario Galaxy 1 plus 2, you had assist mode. Well, this time around, you got assist mode for a 2D Mario game. So if you fall in the cracks, you're just going to get helicoptered back up to the platform that you fell off on. So overall, that is really cool. It seems in local multiplayer, there's going to be 7 different attractions that you're able to play with friends. So if you haven't realized already, but this DLC or update or Switch 2 edition, whatever you want to call it, is going to be focused on multiplayer and playing with friends, but doesn't mean that you won't be able to play by yourself. In fact, sort of like the base game, there's going to be little ghosts. Well, you can play with other random players across the internet. So overall, this is a really great thing. Moving over to other updates for Nintendo Switch 2, starting off with Mario Kart World. Now, Mario Kart World just recently gotten an update, and honestly, it's really cool. Of course, like usual, it fixes a bunch of different bug fixes, but one notable one is being able to play the Knockout Tour in Teams mode. So if you're playing inside of a group, an online room, you're able to set that to have teams. And if you're playing just by yourself, you can have the AI opponents do the team thing together. But it doesn't seem like you will be able to play just on online with teams yet. It seems like Nintendo's hopefully going to be fixing that very soon. Over to Pokémon Legend ZA. Now, Pokémon Legend ZA has gotten a number of different updates, and recently one of the major updates is actually Mega Shards, or how many Mega Shards you can carry. Before, you only had about 1,000 Mega Shards, or to be precise, 999 shards, until you had to go and spend them, and then you couldn't carry any more. But now that is 9,999, which makes collecting a whole ton easier. So if you've been wanting to collect all the Mega Knights, because why not? Well, this is going to make it so much easier. You pretty much get 10 times the amount of you were able to carry. A great thing indeed. Now, moving over to Donkey Kong Bananza, another smaller update, but it seems like it just fixes languages and stuff. So overall, that is definitely a very interesting thing here. Now, moving over to another Donkey Kong game, but in fact, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Now, this is getting a brand new update, and also it is free, because if you have this game, you might have noticed that this game was kind of just ran over because of the Nintendo Switch 2, and everybody kind of forgot about this game. But now, it's back with a brand new update, including Dixie Kong. So if you want to play with Dixie Kong, well, there you go. You got Dixie Kong to play this mode with. So overall, it is really, really interesting indeed. Now, there's one thing that I forgot to mention is the Talking Flower for the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Game Switch 2 Edition. Now, this will sort of work hand in hand. You will probably have to connect it to your phone somewhat, and it tells you the time and sings a whole bunch of songs and tells you how cold it is outside or how warm it is outside. And overall, it definitely is a very interesting thing. So if you're a fan of the Talking Flower, well, maybe you should consider picking it up, because it talks to you, and that's definitely very interesting. Now, moving on to Metroid might be ending soon, and potentially Paper Mario as well. So Kansuki Tanabe, I'm saying this wrong, but he's announcing his retirement. So the main guy that's behind the Metroid series. It's been 40 years since he joined Nintendo. Metroid Prime 4 will be the last game that he worked on. Now, there's one thing to note here. The reason that Metroid Prime 4 might feel a little bit different than Metroid Prime 3 or 2 or whatever the case may be is because he wanted to add a final battle between Steelix. He wanted to add these two confrontations together. So overall, it seemed to be a very interesting thing. Now, this doesn't mean that the series is just going to come to an abrupt end. It just means it's going to be worked on a different person, or a different director is going to be behind these games. So they might end up being a little bit different. They might end up being completely different. Who knows, but it seems like it's going into that direction. One thing that you might want to know is maybe Metroid Prime won't have this long development that it had for Metroid Prime 4. Because they got all the things squared away, and it's just going to be on the Nintendo Switch 2 from now on. So this means that they don't have to do some back and forth thing with Nintendo Switch not wanting to work properly, or yada yada yada. So overall, this is definitely a good thing or a bad thing, or depending on how you see it. Maybe we can see a different direction for Metroid. We can see this go into a complete circle, or something's going to be happening here. Now, moving over to the Nintendo Direct. Now, Nintendo Direct has been getting a lot of talks recently, and I've been talking about this a lot, but it seems like it's going to be happening on February 10th. Now, this is a pretty good day for Nintendo Direct as a whole, because hey, who doesn't want to see some fun February 10 action? Now, moving over to Nintendo Music, it seems like The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass has been added, songs have been added to Nintendo Music. So, this is really great, and maybe leads to the question to believe, is Nintendo going to bring this game back? Although that would be really interesting, I think it's just to boogie over to the movie, or the music, if you know what I mean. Now, there's one story that's probably not it's completely random, but Pokémon Red and Green took a lot of trial and error to get right. Now, this is a story that just popped up, and I found it to be really interesting. So, Pokémon Red and Green, of course, the original games that started it all. In this picture, it shows Leaf Green and Fire Red version, but let's just say that it's the original Pokemon version. It took a long time to get everything working together, the battle system, the trading, the music, and everything associated to that, but eventually they got it right, and you can see how that game turned out. Pretty great. So what leads you to believe, are they going to bring something like this back for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon? Because we're almost here. We're almost ready to get partying with this special anniversary. So what are your thoughts on this right here? Do you think it's really interesting? Do you think that Nintendo is doing pretty good with their sales numbers, their new updates, their games, their talking flower? I don't know, let me know in the comments section down below, and thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. And with that being said, consider to have a fantastic day, and see you in the next one. I mean, I want you to have a fantastic day. Yeah, keep that in mind.